Hey guys, so we have some updates here I figured I should go over. We have 4.3 coming at us soon. Alright, we want to take a quick look at what's coming. I know there's some new champions and some much awaited features, so let's get right into it. A new update is due to arrive shortly, and as always, we prepared a quick recap of the things you can expect. First of all, save teams will let you adjust the behavior of your champions in auto battle, including multi-battle mode, and do it as far as choosing which skills prioritize or avoid altogether. Playtime rewards will receive an update and offer more resources as your level increases. Finally, we have a pack of shiny new champions for you to enjoy, including one handsome devil of a dwarf for the June Fusion event, and a number of other quality of life features. Read on if you want to find more about these features. So first up we have saved teams. Saved teams are one of the new features we promised in our latest What's Next in Raid video. This will allow you to pre-make teams for PvE and PvP battles. Better yet, will let you tweak your skill prioritization for each champion before you send them into auto battle. That would be here. The basics are simple. You can access the feature by tapping on the Team Setup button on the champion selection screen before a battle. From there, a familiar ride where you will fill specific slots with whichever champion you want. Just mind the leader, as always. In total, you'll have 10 saved teams for PvE battles, campaign, dungeons, faction wars, clan boss, doom tower, and 10 for PvP battles, classic arena, and tag team arena. Each save team can be named. So I think they don't show the name here. Didn't they show the name? Right here's the team. So you see like new team 3, new team 4. I'm guessing that's where we can name it. Wanted to go through some of these photos that we've gotten before. This was a bit of a teaser given to content creators that were shared around some of the discords. So as you can see here, it looks like there is a little section here where we can tweak and choose maybe some preset teams. So there we go. Like you could name one team, like your anti-Hegemon team, your anti-Tormund team, or whatnot. Your go first, your go second, you know. Here we go into skill instructions. Aside from sheer convenience of having pre-made teams ready at a tap, you can also adjust skill priorities for each champion, something that will make life so much easier for farming. There are several settings available for each skill that you need to know. Default AI will keep using the default skill as it would. So that'll just be trusting whatever their AI has set up, which in some cases it's good. In some cases, not so good. Opener. The champion will always use this skill on their first turn in auto battle. After that, it will be used according to set priority. Only one skill can have this setting. Makes sense? Don't use. AI will never use this skill in auto battle. If this skill also has an opener setting, the AI will use it once at the beginning of battle, then will not use it again. And then first, second, and third choices. Establishes the priority of skills from first highest to third lowest. The game will use the first choice skill over other skills when it's off cooldown. Second and third choices will be used when off cooldown unless first priority choice is also available. All three priorities will override the default order skills. So we've been quite looking forward to this. There's been so many champions, like people like Vizier, for example. There's a lot of people wish they could turn certain skills off for clan boss. Same with what I've been saying, Corpse Collector. She shouldn't use her A2 in clan boss. So that'll help her become a viable leech champion now with poisons and leech on her A1. Well, poisons on her A3, leech on her A1. But we could turn off that annoying skill, that's the A2, that puts up heal reduction and decreased accuracy debuff, I believe it is, that aren't useful for the clan boss. Taking up spots, so that'll be really nice. Yeah, I mean, I'm really excited to see people play around with cold hearts. That'll be a fun one to see the priority changes. I'm curious at how this is going to change the game and see, and like I'm really looking forward to watching other content creators videos and see what creative setups they can make now that you can control. Because there's a lot of, I think it'll really bring about champions that maybe weren't as relevant before because they had dumb AI. If we can make their AI smarter, well, maybe they'll be useful again. So yeah, I'm excited for that one. Let's go on to the next. We do have Playtime update rewards as well. So Playtime rewards update. We do have Playtime reward update. So now from level 1 to 30 there will be no changes, but from 31 to 50 there will be an increase in silver, one greater arcane potion instead of a lesser potion. Yeah, who needs a lesser potion? And then more silver again for 90 minutes. Now same thing with 50, it just increases the amount of silver and arcane potions. But I mean, let's be honest, it's not that much silver. It's cool and it's an improvement, but I feel like they could have been a little bit more generous with this silver. Or the potions. But it's fine. At least it's some improvement, right? Alright, champion fusion. So this month we'll have a legendary dwarf attack champion available for fusion. His name is Herndig. He'll be your best friend if you need a blast to blast a bunch of enemies apart or apply some painful debuffs. So I do want to quickly read something that they actually gave us in the announcement. I thought it was kind of nice that they gave us a bit of a description of the character and how we should use them. So let me read here. Getting an extra turn for killing an enemy with the default skill and decreasing the cooldown of the third skill will be viable everywhere you have several enemies in front of you. Dwarves lack champions with decreased defense debuffs, so Herndig will fill this spot. He will also have a must-have debuff for Doom Tower nowadays, decrease accuracy. Of course, that really helps so you don't have to have crazy high resistance to resist all of the debuffs coming at you in the higher level of waves and bosses. It's really hard to have high accuracy and high resistance and high speed and crit rate and stay alive and do damage. So like being able to get rid of one of those things would be really helpful. Alright, third skill, fully depletes target's turn meter and will be great against dungeon bosses. If you have crit here, your enemy's better hide as Herndig will bring out additional AoE with 2 debuffs on top. Cherry on the cake, his passive skill which fills his turn meter each time he's hit, each time an enemy dies. So let's quickly read through his skills fully. A1 attacks one enemy, grants an extra turn and decreases the cooldown of stasis strike, skill by 2 turns if this attack kills an enemy. So I always love the grants extra turn if this attack kills an enemy stuff. It's really fun and very satisfying to watch them just go through and pick off each person in the wave. It's so much fun, like with Septimus, or even small other characters like Horden. I think little Drake, not Dracomorph. Alright, Arcane Tempest attacks all enemies, has 75% chance of placing a 60% decreased defense debuff and a 50% decreased accuracy debuff for 2 turns. Perfect. Needs a lot of books though. It does book down to a 3-turn cooldown. So we got Stasis Strike. Ascended attacks one enemy, fully depletes the target's turn meter. Will also attack all enemies if the first attack is critical. This AoE attack has a 75% chance of placing Weaken for 2 turns. It also plays HP Burn for 2 turns after the attack on enemies whose turn meters are below 30%. So we got Weaken, decrease attack, decrease defense, HP Burn, decrease accuracy, and we are decreasing turn meter. Okay, yeah. I mean, he's got a lot going on. Lots of control, lots of debuffs. I like it. Let's see this passive. Fills this champion's turn meter by 10% every time they are hit. Occurs once per hit. Also fills this champion's turn meter by 20% whenever an ally dies. He does have an aura for attack in arena battles. So, I mean, it's a fusion. Always go for a fusion. If you can do a fusion, just go for it. Sounds like he's going to be pretty good. We'll have to see how his multipliers are and and how hard he does hit, as his ability does rely on crit. So I'm assuming he's going to hit pretty hard and be a good damage dealer as well as being a debuffer, but we'll have to see. Hope he's not too squishy. He might be squishy, but that's why we have other champions to go along with him. Alright, let's roll into the other new champions. Now, she looks cool. I love the art. Always love the art. Lady Kimmy. Got a Shadowkin support. Attacks one enemy and then attacks the enemy with the highest turn meter. Will attack the same enemy twice if the initial target also has the highest turn meter. Oh, so much conditional. The second hit has a 50% chance of decreasing the target's turn meter by 15%. Turn meter reduction is so helpful. I mean, I play another game, Summoner's Glory, and that's like one of the biggest sources of support, and it's like you don't need as much healing and reviving if you can just make the enemies not go. Alright, we got Flurry of Petals. Attacks all enemies, has a 75% chance of placing a 50% decrease accuracy debuffs and 30% decrease speed debuff for 2 turns. Nice. Also has a 75% chance of decreasing each target's turn meter by 15%. It does, okay, look like that does buff up to 100% chance, and it does have a cooldown reduction, so it's a 3-turn cooldown. That's great. I mean, that'll be a champion I really want for at least Faction Wars, at the very least, once they open Shadowkin Faction Wars. Alright, let's see here. We got Spirit Flux. Removes one random buff from each enemy, then has a 75% chance of placing a block buffs debuff for 2 turns on enemies who have buffs removed. Nice. 1 buff from each enemy. Okay. More buff strippers in the game. Definitely like that. And blocking buffs. Alright. That's super great. Love it. Also fills the turn meter of all allies by 15% and places increased accuracy buff and a 30% increased speed buff on all allies for 2 turns. Alright, so she's got both. She's got increase our accuracy, decrease their accuracy. Super helpful for those builds where, again, Doom Tower and such, where you have to build high accuracy, high resistance. Alright, and let's see here. Whenever this passive is whenever this champion places a debuff on an enemy, also decreases that enemy's turn meter by 5% for each debuff placed. Nice. Whenever this champion or an ally receives a debuff, fills their turn meter for 5% of each debuff received. Whew, okay. Well, that could certainly stack up. Increases speed in Doom Towers by 30%. Hot damn. Yeah, she's definitely made for Doom Tower. This will really help for getting those high speeds you need at the hard levels of Doom Tower. So you don't have to necessarily rebuild all your champions. You can throw her in for great support. Hell, even I guess you'd still pair okay with like a seer team. We've got a couple debuffs here, although it might throw things a little bit out of whack with all the increases of turn meters, but I would love to see this champion play. I'm really excited for this one. Plus, I just want to see what she looks like. I like it. Good start so far. Alright, Nobel. Another Shadowkin. He looks cool. Attacks one enemy, has a 40% chance of decreasing the duration of 2 random buffs on the target by one turn. If the target is under fear or true fear debuff, he has a 65% chance of decreasing the duration of all targets buffs by 1 turn instead. Attacks one enemy, will ignore 30% of the target's defense, fills this champion's turn meter by 25% of the attack after the attack. If the target is under fear or true fear debuff, decreases the cooldown of dismay skill by 1 turn. Alright. And dismay attacks all enemies. 75% chance of decreasing each enemy's turn meter by 20%. If there are enemies under fear or true fear debuffs, it will also fill this champion's turn meter by the amount of those enemies lose. Here we go. I was like, he has to place it too, right? Desolation. Whenever an enemy's turn meter is fully depleted by a champion, has a 50% chance of placing true fear debuff on that enemy for 1 turn. So he will pair great with other fear champions as well, of course, as every skill he has is conditional on if there are fear or true fear. So this passive will be great, but you kind of want to pair him with someone who's going to be a fear or true fear champion as well. Alright, that was legendary as well. Okay. Increasing those legendary Shadowkin numbers. Good, good. I like it. Siege Hulk. Alright, Ogren Tribe. Attacks one enemy, decreases the target's turn meter by 15% if the target is under a decreased speed debuff or decreased defense or decreased speed debuff. Thrashing Fit places a 50% increase attack buff on this champion for 2 turns, then attacks all enemies. Has a 75% chance of placing a 60% decreased defense for 2 turns, which books up to 100%. So great decrease defense champion and increase attack on him as well. Hopefully he hits hard. Alright, let's see this Siegebreaker. Ascended places 30% increased crit rate and increased crit damage buff on this champion for 2 turns, then attacks one enemy. Has a 75% chance of placing a decreased speed debuff on the target for 2 turns. Love it. Love this as well. Sounds like he's gonna smack. I really hope so. Definitely doesn't hurt. Crit rate by 24% in Doom Tower. There you go. That's a nice aura too. And onto Gory, another Shadowkin. Attacks one enemy 2 times, places an extra hit if the target is under a freeze debuff. Heals this champion by 10% of the damage inflicted. Attacks 3 times at random. Each hit has a 75% chance of placing a freeze debuff for 1 turn. Books up to 100%. Great, I love the freeze. So it's not an AoE freeze, but almost. Got 3. Better than single target, I guess. Alright, attacks one enemy, will ignore increase defense and shield buffs. Nice. Will also ignore 50% of the target's defense if they're under a freeze debuff. Places a counterattack buff and a 50% increase attack buff on this champion for 2 turns if this attack kills an enemy. So he'd be again one to pair with another Frost champion. Seeing that his freeze is only a 3. Attacks 3 times at random, you'd probably want to pair him with someone who also does freeze, like Loria, Gurgo, Shiramani, for example. Or Tormund. Alright, counterattacks with Cold Comfort skill whenever an enemy places a stun, sleep, freeze, provoke, fear, or true fear debuff on an ally. Whew, okay. So it counterattacks with his A1 every time one of those debuffs are placed on an ally. Wow. I like it. I'm liking these champions so far. I don't know what you guys... Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. They sound pretty great to me, though. I mean, let's be honest. That last round of champions, I don't remember the names of, like, anyone except for, like, what? Helior, I think people liked. Is something like that. They've been putting out so many champions. It's so hard to keep track of them. We're doing shard polls and we're like, who is that? I need to get better at keeping up on these new champions, but I feel like so many of them get forgotten because we're just so stuck in our ways. Like, I use my seer team. It's not going to be hard to find something to replace my seer team because she's super overpowered. Or in clan boss, it's like I'm doing a bat eater. Are any of these champions going to replace anyone in my clan boss team? Probably not. I feel like so many of these epics that sound awesome just get tossed aside because you only have so much time and resources to build everything. That's the only bummer. I mean, I wish I could build all my fantastic epics that I have sitting in my vaults, including Skullcrown and Sonatia, because I got those late game. But anyway, I guess I'll move on. Scathix. He looks funky. Lizardman. Attacks one enemy, has a 30% chance of placing a 30% decreased speed debuff for 2 turns. Attacks all enemies, has a 75% chance of stealing 1 random buff from each enemy. That does a 100% chance. Nice. Removes all debuffs from all allies, then places a block debuffs and a shield debuff on all allies for 2 turns. The shield buff is equal to 20% of this champion's max HP. It's all debuffs. Nice. Cleanser. Block debuffs. Great, love it. Places a block damage buff on this champion for 1 turn whenever their HP drops below 30%. Yeah, this is great. I mean, Lizardmen have lacked support for a while. We got Kargon. He's super cool. Actually, having a couple good epic Lizardmen would be nice to have them worthy of building for that stupid secret room. So, He'd be one I would be happy to get for the sake of that really dumb secret room, but at least he'll be helpful. At least in maybe some other parts of the game. We'll see. Hovories? The Tusk? Hovories. Yeah. Look at him. He looks like a hippopotamus. That's so cool. Super cool. Alright, I can't wait to see this full skin. Alright, Skinwalkers, speaking of which. Alright, attacks one enemy 2 times. Each hit has a 10% chance of placing a stun debuff for 1 turn. What's that? That's a low. Books up to 30% chance. Okay. Places a 50% increase attack buff on and a 30% increase crit rate buff on all allies for 2 turns. Always great. Let's see, and Ascended, Eternal War, revives 2 random allies with 50% HP and fills their turn meters by 50%. After the revival, places a 25% strengthen buff on all allies for 2 turns. Nice. No, I thought it was going to say just on those champions, but on all allies. Super great support as well. And Resist Aura. Alright, now we're going into... See, my brain still thinks Faction Wars too, because a lot of people haven't finished Faction Wars, so some of these champions might be a little niche, and like, maybe you'd only use them in Faction Wars. I really don't know that I'd see using him on many other places at the moment, but for people that haven't completed Faction Wars, some of these will really help. Especially this. I mean, all of these sound great for Faction Wars so far. Mykalas, Ogren Tribe, Freaky Looking. Attacks when enemy heals this champion by 30% the damage inflicted. Also heals the ally with the lowest HP by 10% of their max HP. This heal will not affect this champion. Places a shield buff on this champion for 2 turns equal to 20% of their max HP. Then places a 25% ally protection buff on all allies except this champion for 2 turns. Will also heal all allies except for this champion by 10% of their max HP. Decreases the damage of all allies received by 5%. This champion will receive that damage instead. So this is a rare. Are there any other ally protect rare champions? I feel like I have to look that up because I don't think there are. Okay, referencing Hell Hades' website here, quick, easy access if you want to look something like that up. So I'm wrong. There are. Bloodhorn, Myrmidon, and Seducer, or Seducer as we like to call him. So there is a little bit of Ally Protect going on. I actually genuinely don't remember seeing Ally Protect, but I also haven't used any of these champions. Oh wait, sorry. He's behind my head. There we go. Seducer. But this is great to have a rare that has that sort of support. Super great. And then we got the damage mitigation is awesome as well. I mean, it's a rare though. It's not the highest form, but it's fine. If you need some support for Ogren tribes for your Faction Wars, I think he'll be good. Other than that, I mean, there's other more viable options for Ally Protect out there, so depending on how far you are in the game, this may or may not be someone you end up looking at. Unfortunately. Hellborn, Spirit. She looks cool. I like the face. Attacks one enemy has a 25% chance of placing a weaken. Baby weaken, right? Attacks one enemy 3 times. Each hit has a 50% chance of placing 100% heal reduction debuff. So Fire Knight, maybe, for people that need help with Fire Knight progression early game. And she has a passive, increases the duration of all ally buffs by 1 turn. Then places a 15% increased crit rate on all allies for 2 turns. So this passive is just on a cooldown. It books up to a 3-turn cooldown. Increases the duration of all ally buffs. Alright, that's different. On a passive. Odachi. A Shadowkin. A1 20% chance to provoke. Books up to what? 35. Attacks all enemies, places a shield buff on this champion for 2 turns equal to 20% of their max HP. Nice. Let's see, this is not on a full cycle, so this would not be a Scarab King champion to note for that shield roll, I mean. And then, let's see, we got Keeper places a block debuffs buff on all allies for 1 turn, also places a 30% increased defense buff on all allies for 2 turns. Can't talk all of a sudden. Alrighty, defense in dungeons. I feel like they are doing a good job of kind of covering all the bases with the Shadowkin coming in to make sure you kind of have all the roles you need for doing Faction War successfully. And they're doing a good job with adding some rares in that actually have good utility, so I don't think it's going to be too hard to blast through some Shadowkin Faction Wars once it comes out. Hopefully you beat it and already get your Lydia before then. We have had no word on when exactly it's coming out. We have not heard. It would be already out there. Alright, and Assassin, another cool looking art here. We got attacks when enemy has 50% chance of placing a 5% poison debuff for 1 turn. Poison, alright. Attacks when enemy has a 50% chance of placing increasing the duration of all debuffs on the enemy by 1 turn. Attacks when enemy has 75% chance of placing 15% weaken for 2 turns. And increases speed in all battle on his aura. I mean, I could see this maybe against the dragon early game. Maybe clan boss early game. But yeah, more so maybe dragon support very early, but I'm not sure I could see much else use for him personally. It's all single target, so we're looking at bosses probably for the main help. Alright, in quality of life improvements, Champion Index will display champion names under their avatar, making it easier to navigate. It's so hard. I can't imagine coming back into this game as a new player and not knowing anything and trying to figure out who's who just based on the pictures and having to scroll through and look at all the names. There's the more and more they increase the amount of champions, the harder it is to find who you're looking for. So even us content creators have a hard time finding people sometimes. Alright, and sort by rank will become the default filter for pre-battle champion selection screen. Now, okay, so all of our legendaries will just show up first as the default. I guess that's alright. Although that's not necessarily who I'm always using, but champion rarity will become available in the champion collection, tavern, and champion selection screen. Oh no, sort by rank. Yeah, that is right. Never mind, that is right. But yeah, champ rarity is not always what I'm sorting by, but that's super helpful for the tavern. I think I'll end up using that the most, or being grateful for that the most. The option to keep auto battle on by default will be added to all arena and clan boss battles. It'll appear as a checkbox on the champion selection screen. This will be great for farming arena. Hopefully they mean 3v3 as well. So you can just go right in and just let it do its thing, do its thing, do its thing, do its thing, and I have to click it every single time. Clan boss, most people have a little bit of setup. If you're at the nightmare, ultra nightmare stages, you're going to be doing a little bit of setup usually. So but that'll be good for people that aren't quite there yet. Players of level 50 and higher will get a button that allows them to access the last played campaign location with a single tap. That should make accessing XP farming locations faster. Okay, so we don't have to worry about scrolling in and going in and find our brutal 12-3. And let's see, total team power for the arena, both classic and tag team, will be displayed in the battle and battle log tabs. I feel like it already is, but... Oh, the logs. Alright. Fair. You can see it at the end of a battle, and you see it when you go to start the battle, but you don't see it in the defeat or victory section when you're under attack and defense. I'm guessing that's what it means. Cool, cool. Alright, let me know what you guys think. Which champions sound the most appealing to you? Do you have any people that you really want that'll help change your game? Let me know in the comments below, and hopefully we can pull some fun champions with our next Shard Pull sessions.